Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Madeline and I like to make stuff. And in today's video, I'm going to show you this super quick chapstick holder. Personally, I also use it for cuticle oil. That is really quick to sew together, and it's a great batch sewing opportunity to sell at your local markets. So first things first, you're going to need some scraps that are at least 2.5 inches wide by 15 inches. And then for the small straps, I went with 1 3/4 of an inch by 1 3/4 of an inch, and I pre-sewed those as well. The other thing that I did is I took all of my 15-inch strips and I interfaced one side only on the wrong side with a piece of interfacing that is 7 inches by 2 inches, because you want them to sit inside the fabric by about 1/4 inch to lessen the bulk. So I went through and I pre-attached all of those, and now I'm just going to show you how to throw it all together. So take one of your strips and put right sides together, and hopefully they're already pre-creased. And I'm going to go ahead and finger press one end just to mark the middle. And you can take your D-ring and your little tiny strap and just stick that right in the middle and secure that with a clip. And then that's pretty much all the prep you need. And then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine and leave about a 2 to 3 inch gap for turning. A little pro tip for these is I like to leave the gap closer to the fold of the fabric and not the clip. This makes it much easier to turn the final product using that little clip, and you'll see in a minute. And you're going to see me kind of fussy sewing the corners. Something that I think is very important for these chapstick holders is to have very precise square corners, because if you end up with a few curved ones and a straight one, the whole product just looks a little wonky. So really pay attention to those corners, and I'm also double stitching over that holding clip. And I did notice shortening my stitch length to about a 2 or a 2.2 to 2.4 really helped me to be very precise with those corners. And don't forget to backstitch wherever you are starting and stopping. And I did trim my corners up pretty well. Again, I think paying attention to these really precise corners in your product is really going to help their end finish. So make sure you take your time trimming and turning. And because these little things are so small, it really does help to have that hole at the opposite end of that D-ring clip, because then you can just reach through and pull that out, and it just makes the whole process so much easier. And I do think a point turner is essential for this project. Both the curved and the pointed ends are really helpful. I do end up pushing out even, you'll see the side crease here, because again, that just creates such a crisp, beautiful finish. You really can tell the difference. And then once you're done, take it over to your pressing station, fold that little hole in and match those seams up. Again, take a minute if you need to. Nobody wants one little edge of their chapstick holder to bulge out, and give it a really good press on both sides. All right, and then I'm going to fold that bottom edge up, and I'm going to use a little ruler just for precision, because again, this project, I feel like you just really want to pay attention to those small details, and it really makes the product shine. So I fold it up, I leave 3/4 of an inch, and again, I'm going to take my point turner and I'm going to bulge out the bottom just to make sure it is perfectly straight. And then I'm going to clip that in place, give it another little press and clip, and then we're just going to take it over to the sewing machine and finish it with a top stitch. So for top stitching, I'm not sure if I remember to do this in the video for my batch that I made, but I think a larger stitch length, maybe something like 2.8 to 3, even bigger if you'd like, just based on your preference, is totally fine. And there we go. It took just a couple minutes to make and it looks super clean. I love the look of just a very precise corner with a nice good press and steam. It looks so sleek and they hold chapstick really well. I'm not going to say they're like glue, but I've been using these for about a month now. I haven't really had any issue with my chapstick falling out or getting lost or anything like that. So I'm super satisfied with how these turned out. I ended up gifting a ton to my friends and family. And with my remaining batch, I made about 55. And that took me probably no more than about 2 hours. I sold it for about $1.50 each. And so selling 55 of those, I opted to wholesale them to another vendor for really low just because I don't have the time for the craft fairs right now. But I did make $83 off of this sale. So that did average me about $30 to $40 an hour. I definitely will be doing this again. And I encourage anybody sewing at home, please try to start sewing and selling. It is so easy. You don't even have to do craft fairs. You can sell on Facebook, Etsy, eBay. There are so many options. And I do have more content coming out soon. I have a ton of little trinkets and gadgets that I like to sew. So if you could, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye.